the Jaws paddle-in movement started. I'd tow surfed it quite a bit, but we'd always thought that it wasn't a wave that you could paddle. At that time, I had quite a few peers around me that were in the mix of those few, first sessions that were out there doing it, and I saw them succeed and catch really good waves, and I was like, "I wanna be a part of that, I don't wanna miss out." Um, and it was almost like this complete natural progression to go from kind of feeling somewhat lost and not necessarily having a career path, but doing it because I really truly loved it. And I'd always really loved bigger waves. Like that was a huge part of why I wanted to be on the championship tour, was because they had such good waves at the time. It really was the dream tour. They had Fiji and Tahiti and Honolulu and all these events. And then, as those events slowly got taken away off of the tour, it was also in the back of my mind, like, why would I want to like struggle to qualify to be on a tour that, my surfing doesn't necessarily shine in. So that was happening at the same time. And, surfing out at Jaws became like this new wonder of the world to be able to paddle surf out there. And I was just so excited about it. And at the time, my partner Sean was making big wave boards for Marcio and Albie and Matt Miola and the crew. And I was like, okay, I guess make me one. And I remember he made me a 9.6 because I had been invited to an event in Oregon. And then everybody was on much bigger boards at Piahi. And I was like, okay, make me a 10.2. And I think he made me a 10.2 or 10.4. And I remember putting it under my arm and literally just my jaw dropped. And I was just like, there's no way I'm going to catch a wave on this board. Like it scared me. The boards are so big. And if you've never like held one, you're like, it's just so crazy when you pick it up. You're like, I'm going to catch a wave with this thing. So it was, yeah, it was kind of just like this new wonder and excitement. And the first time that I ever surfed out there, paddle surfing, I caught 3 waves and I was hooked. And I mean, I still remember those waves and every drop of water, that flew by me. And it was, just a really special session looking back on it. It was only Maui crew out there. And
Tell me
I mean,
about the waves that day.
it was like a beautiful, probably like 15 to 18-foot glassy day with like maybe a couple bigger sets. And I think Matt had called us and was down on the cliff with Albie and the boys and Marlon, and he's like, it's perfect, get down here. And so we drove down and, hiked down the cliff. This was before impact vests and safety plans and not even a thought of what could go wrong. And we hiked down the trail, and you know the boys that had jumped off the rocks before showed us how to do it, and we had really good timing and got out pretty easy. No thoughts of coming back in. It was just like a one track mind of like, we're going out there to ride waves. There wasn't any of the like what ifs. Things are a lot different now for me. um, but yeah, that session was amazing. Sean and I jumped off the rocks, and I caught my very first wave was like this inside west bowl, and I just went straight. I'd never gone that fast on a board that size, and like made it all the way out into the whitewash, and then got destroyed and got really pounded, but came up and paddled back out, and everybody was like so psyched that I caught a wave. And I was like, well, I want to like make the wave, not just go straight. And so my second wave, I think I shared a wave with Pat Fukuda, who's a fireman here, an amazing surfer. And then my third wave was like this really cool, like west bowl, but it was really steep. And I just rode it into the channel, and it was, that was really cool. And then, the wind had started to pick up a little bit, and there were probably 20 of us out. And I remember I was chit chatting to a friend out in the water and not really paying attention to where we were. And got sucked deeper than I wanted to be and got caught inside by a set. And my leash broke right away. Like that, those were the days that every leash was just popping left and right because they
Yeah.
just weren't strong enough at the time. And I was just swimming in the lineup. And it was one of those moments looking back on it that I love telling the story because there were no jet skis in the water that day for 20 surfers. And luckily, I don't know, 10 minutes before that happened, Yuri Soledad had pulled up with his partner, and Yuri had just jumped in the water, and his the guy that was on the ski, um, it was he was there as safety for all of us basically, but he didn't know it. And what had happened was I had broken my leash, so I'm swimming in the lineup. Albie had just broken his board, so he's swimming in the lineup. So he grabbed Albie, came and grabbed me, and then took us into the rocks because we were going into, Albie was going to find the rest of his board, and I was going to go find my board. And I'd never been back in on the rocks there
Mhm.
yet, which was quite an experience. And luckily I was with Albie, and he's like, I'm a crab up the rocks, like you'll be fine. And we timed, it's all timing for stuff like that. And we just waited, and then just rode up a surge. And yeah, it was really turbulent and gnarly and probably ended up with some bruises, but we got up there and then like scurried up the rocks as fast as we could. And we kind of walked around the corner. I got my board. Albie found his piece, and we're starting to walk back, and we look out and there's this huge set, and we're like, oh my God. And I remember just seeing Yuri take off on this wave, and he's airdropping, and turns out his board, while he was airdropping and he fell, his board hit him in the face and broke his jaw. So within like 15 minutes, two of us were swimming in the lineup, and Yuri has a broken jaw. And like, what would we have all done if we didn't have a ski there? And it was definitely one of those, it was a life-changing moment. Sean and I bought a new ski, not a brand new one, but a used ski the next week from a friend. And I've never gone up there without a jet ski or a plan since then. So yeah, that first session made quite an impact on so many different things, but more than anything, it was like, holy crap, I can ride waves like that, and I can catch them on my own and be going at speeds that I've never gone, unless you're on a tow board.